Hey folks, Coyote Duran here. It's Friday night, 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern, and 7 p.m. Pacific, and you know what that means. It's time for Road Food with Coyote Duran. Welcome back to your gateway to the weekend and your freshly served repast to the past and present here. Before we kick off the show, I just wanted to give a little bit of a clarification on something that happened last Friday's show. You didn't hear wrong. I did promise 4 ZZ Top songs, and I said only one of them was going to be by ZZ Top. The other 3 were going to be covers. Well, when I recorded my intro and I put everything together and I uploaded it to YouTube, I got dinged with a copyright claim. Now, this is nothing unusual. I typically get dinged with copyright claims for every upload I do, but it doesn't affect my status with YouTube because I don't monetize these uploads. I do these for basically the fun of it. It's kind of like an artistic visual and audio portfolio, depending on which I'm doing, whether it's art or whether it's music, and every single one of them gets dinged with a copyright claim, but I can still put it forward. I make certain to note on my uploads that this is not for personal and financial gain. I'm not, monetizing anything, but I did get dinged with a copyright claim that froze the upload. I was not allowed to continue posting it. And it had to do with the ZZ Top song performed by ZZ Top, She's Just Killing Me, off of the From Dusk Till Dawn soundtrack in 1996. Now, mind you, the other 3 ZZ Top songs were covers, but they were still known covers. They were still published covers. So I'm not certain who's responsible for the blocking, whether it was ZZ Top themselves, or, their original record companies, or BMG and KKR, who recently bought their catalog for $50 million. So I really don't know what the deal with that is. I don't know why I was dinged, but I had to go back to the well and remove my intro for that song, as well as that song, thus making the overall episode shorter. And I also apologize if there was any further confusion in regard to the following song, which of course was Bordello of Blood by Anthrax. And I had made a reference earlier in the intro in regard to 1996 being the year of vampire movies. So when you hear that, I'm sure you probably think I'm a dork for saying it, but there was previous help for that context. With it no longer there, you're probably wondering, what does this have to do with anything? This is like, talk about the segue of segues. So I apologize for that wholeheartedly. Hopefully nothing goes wrong with this episode, but, I've said before that I do this for the fun and the love of it, and to share music and open people's eyes and ears about tremendous and amazing music acts that have impacted me throughout my life. I was thinking about it earlier in the week, and it hit me. I'm like, well, this is road food. If you're traveling down a road, what do you typically drive down that road in? Well, you drive down the road in cars. And what does CARS stand for? And this is going to get real Gary Busey on you. It stands for Cheap Ass Radio Show. And that's what this is. I'm doing this with an Audacity program that was free to download. I put everything together in my Windows Movie Maker, which came with my computer. And the microphone I use is a $12 number from Walmart. So that's pretty cheap. I've often put out my creativity out there on a budget. I've had my own website, coyoteduranart.com, for 12 years. It's cost approximately $12 a year for the domain name. So that means for 12 years of operation with a free website template, my own personal website cost me $144. So that goes to show you that you don't have to spend a lot of money to entertain people. And I follow this same, basic, intent and mission to bring music to you folks. And like I said, cheap-ass radio show, and I'm sure it shows, but I'm not getting any complaints yet. And, even if I'm making a handful of people happy or encouraging them to buy these albums or look up these music videos on YouTube, then I'm perfectly happy with that. So, on with the show. Enough of the... In 1992, just 2.5 months after his duet with Marty Stewart, This One's Gonna Hurt You, Travis Tritt released his third studio album, Trouble, which, of course, gave us one of his most popular songs to date, its self-titled single. But what opened the album was a cooker in Looking Out for Number One, the album's fourth single. It's a tune that basically depicts a man who's finally had enough of being taken for granted when all he's ever done is do his best to make his significant other happy. It's a song of newfound independence and finally taking back what once was his identity. It's a song to which I can wholeheartedly relate, as it became a personal anthem that brought me back a sense of being and self-worth after my first 2 marriages. They say time heals all wounds, but music doesn't hurt the process. Off 1992's Trouble, here's Travis Tritt with Looking Out for Number One on Road Food with Coyote Duran.
I do, I can't make you happy, though I go to great lengths to do your will. If you say hurry girl, I make it snappy, trying hard to keep your wishes filled. But I'm getting tired and feeling real discouraged from being pressured underneath your thumb. So here's a message you can give your mama. Starting now, I'm looking out for number one. Lord, everyone around me, I've tried so hard to please, till the only one unhappy, feeling broken down is me. But things are gonna change with each new setting sun. Starting now, I'm looking out for number one. Hard to face my moaning mirror. There's a stranger in there staring back at me. He tells me every day it's getting clearer. Son, you're not the man you used to be. Girl, it's time to get this monkey off my shoulder and quit worrying about the things that you want done. I'm gonna start the fire that you have smoldered. Cause starting now, I'm looking out for number one. Lord, everyone
In spring of 1984, a couple of ne'er-do-well buddies of mine from my old neighborhood and I grabbed the city bus for a trip to the mall to spend some money on some new cassettes. Well, I was going to spend some very hard-earned money on music. You see, Gary Hall and Bobby Smith had this thing about shoplifting. No matter how much money they had on them, they'd rather steal things, mainly cassette tapes, than pay for them. Why, I haven't the slightest notion, but these two fellas shared a special brand of stupid to think they would always get away with it. And on this particular Saturday, they didn't. As we all walked into Musicland, I quickly grabbed the two plastic-clad, theft-proof cassettes I had my eye on, one of them being In Heat by the Romantics. I don't know what these two jamokes tried stealing, nor do I care. What I do know is what a sense of security feels like when I make an honest transaction and what I won't endure from my folks because I didn't steal. Sitting outside Musicland with my bag of treasures didn't seem as foreboding as what would potentially go down when Gary and Bobby's parents came to collect them after the store's employees busted them and mall security arrived to document the action. Bobby looked at me with tears in his eyes and Gary just looked like a deer frozen in front of an oncoming truck. I had all the proof I needed to go home with my head held high after security quizzed me on my belongings. And that Romantics tape was worth the purchase and all the entertainment in its lead-up. Not worth stealing, mind you, but worth everything else. In Heat was an album known for its most popular cuts, Talking in Your Sleep and One in a Million, but the Jimmy Marinos sung Rock You Up, which opened the album, was sick, man. Marinos, who sang the Romantics epic What I Like About You from their self-titled debut, just owned the song. This tune should have been bigger, and if there was ever a cover I'd love to hear the aforementioned Marty Stewart handled, it's Rock You Up. Hey, if Weezer can cover Toto's Africa based on the request of a 14-year-old girl on Twitter, then I can get this wish, damn it. This song was made for Marty. Selfish whims and memories of unfortunately dopey thieves aside, off the Romantics' 1983 album In Heat, here's Rock You Up on Road Food with Coyote Duran. Tesla has always been the working man's hard rock band. Not much for the glam image many bands of their ilk embraced in the 1980s, the Sacramento, California five-piece let their music speak for itself. By the time Tesla's third slab, Bust a Nut, was released in August of 1994, they had already churned out rock radio staples like Modern Day Cowboy, Hang Tough, and the immortal Love Song. Bust a Nut boasted 3 singles and went gold 7 months later, but its real sleeper was a banger titled Action Talks. It's a song that still works today in a keyboard warrior society. It's about calling out those who call you out and perhaps encouraging them to get their acts together, work together, and not blame others when they make mistakes. Sounds like good adult advice to me. Off 1994's Bust a Nut, here's Tesla with Action Talks on Road Food with Coyote Duran. I was 17 when the Traveling Wilburys Volume 1 was released. As a fan of each member of this new supergroup at the time, the album's first single, Handle with Care, caught me by surprise because it just seemed so out of time, and that was a great thing. I'm not saying this was some sort of comeback for Tom Petty, Jeff Lynne, Roy Orbison, George Harrison, and Bob Dylan, because they never went away. This debut album was a reminder of just that. However, End of the Line was a song that just felt so ethereal. It's a true affirmation of life, from the Wilburys to us, and that concept is even more unreal when one considers Orbison's absence from the music video as he passed away in December of 1988. In his stead, a rocking chair and a photo of Orbison bathed in the flickering light streaming from the windows of the train on which they rode were featured during his vocal. It's emotional and indelible. End of the Line's strength as a song has never waned, and, as if to substantiate my point, served as an affirmation of life on the show Fear the Walking Dead. Once briefly during a moment between Ruben Blades' character Daniel Salazar and Karen David's Grace, and accompanied by Alexa Nisensen's Charlie on banjo during John and June Dory's wedding in Season 5's finale. Off 1988's The Traveling Wilburys Volume 1, here's The Traveling Wilburys with End of the Line on Road Food with Coyote Duran.
Well, it's alright, riding around in the breeze. Well, it's alright, if you live the life you please. Well, it's alright, doing the best you can. Well, it's alright, as long as you lend a hand.
You can sit around and wait for the phone to ring, waiting for someone to tell you everything. Sit around and wonder what tomorrow will bring. Maybe a diamond ring.
Well, it's alright, even if they say you're wrong. Well, it's alright, sometimes you gotta be strong. Well, it's alright, as long as you got somewhere to lay. Well, it's alright, every day is Judgment Day.
Maybe somewhere down the road away, you'll think of me and wonder where I am these days. Maybe somewhere down the road when somebody plays Purple Haze.
Well, it's alright, even when push comes to shove. Well, it's alright, if you got someone to love. Well, it's alright, everything will work out fine. Well, it's alright, we're going to the end of the line.
Don't have to be ashamed of the car I drive. I'm just glad to be here, happy to be alive. And it don't matter if you're by my side, I'm satisfied.
Well, it's alright, even if you're old and gray. Well, it's alright, you still got something to say. Well, it's alright, remember to live and let live. Well, it's alright, the best you can do is forgive. Well, it's alright, riding around in the breeze. Well, it's alright, if you live the life you please. Well, it's alright, even if the sun don't shine. Well, it's alright, we're going to the end of the line.
Norwegian hard rock band TNT, in my opinion, has always been an extremely underrated act. By the time their fifth studio album, Realized Fantasies, was released, I could only imagine a relative few American rock fans may have heard of them. However, the album's fourth track, the ballad Lionheart, was an immediate standout. with emotional lyrics belted out by vocalist Tony Harnell and a slithery melody and solo by original member and lead guitarist Ronnie Latecro. Lionheart seems to detail the life of a sad, lonely drunk who doesn't believe he's deserving of redemption because the only life he knows is insulation. Off 1992's Realized Fantasies, here's TNT with Lionheart on Road Food with Coyote Duran.
Another shot, yeah, it's the end of the day. He's never gonna leave, but he doesn't wanna stay here wanting, drinking to the past, yeah, for which he has no use. He's smiling for the camera while he's singing the small town blues. You know, so many women, so little time. A lonely man's favorite drunken lie. And why do we have to fall from grace? Holding on to yesterday. All freedom is out of place. Lionheart will find his way. Crying for a man, yeah. She's waiting by the phone, but he's making one last stop, 'cause he hates to drink alone in shadows, trapped inside a dream, yeah. The childhood desire says he's off to California. You know he's a liar. And now there's nothing lost, yeah, there's nothing gained. Morning comes and it's still the same. And why do we have to fall from grace? Holding on to yesterday. All freedom
1990s country music appreciation continues with Toby Keith. In 1993, Keith released his self-titled debut album, throwing his cowboy hat into an already jam-packed with talent arena. 4 singles were dealt out, but my favorite, and I'd say my favorite all-time Toby Keith song, is A Little Less Talk and a Lot More Action. Although the song was previously recorded for Hank Williams Jr.'s 44th album Maverick, which came out 14 months before Keith's, Williams' version was more conversational overall and vocally halting at times. Keith's version, on the other hand, was smooth, relaxed, and seemingly winking at you, harboring an air of dangerous mischief. Its video captured the flavor of the song perfectly, with Keith and his band playing in a honky-tonk to the appreciation of dancing patrons. Hank's version is good, Toby's version is signature. From Toby Keith's 1993 self-titled album, here's A Little Less Talk and a Lot More Action on Road Food with Coyote Duran.
I was getting kind of tired of her endless chatter. Nothing I could say ever seemed to matter. So I took a little drive just to clear my head. I saw a flashing neon up ahead. It looked like a place to find some satisfaction with a little less talk and a lot more action. My way to the bar, shouted for a drink over a screaming guitar. Drunk on the stool, tried to mess with my head, but I didn't even listen to a word he said. I knew somewhere amid all this distraction was a little less talk and a lot more action. Little less talk, if you please, a lot more loving is what I need. Let's get on down to the main attraction with a little less talk and a lot more action. Well, she was fighting them off at a corner table. She had a long neck bottle, she was peeling the label. The look on her face, it was perfectly clear. She said, somebody please get me out of here. The look she shot me through the glass refraction said a little less talk and a lot more action. Little less talk, if you please, a lot more loving is what I need. Let's get on down to the main attraction with a little less talk and a lot more action. Little less talk, a lot more action. Let's get on down to the main attraction with a little less talk and a lot more action. Get on down to the main attraction with a little less talk, a lot more action.
One summer day in 2007, I told my then 15-year-old daughter Phoenix about this great new song I heard by My Chemical Romance Teenagers. It was a sinister tale of a teen whom is grappling with mental illness along with parents whom he or she believes are trying to shape him or her into something faceless and contrary. The stress builds in the story, and we learn the teenager is hiding a gun with the intention of making his or her tormentors pay. It's a story that isn't dated, as our children and we parents today are terrified of violence of any sort in our schools because it feels like it's become a regular problem. Hell, just once would have been a problem. But as current as the song feels even now, its vehicle was classic. Teenagers sounded like it could have been written and recorded by Rod Stewart. I mean, can you imagine Rod pulling this one off with his signature swagger? After I breathlessly explained all the above to Phoenix, she was pissed. Apparently she was hot because an old man like myself shouldn't have heard anything from music acts she was crazy about. Hey, I'm a Renaissance dad, what can I say? Off My Chemical Romance's 4th album, The Black Parade, here's Teenagers on Road Food with Coyote Duran.
They're gonna clean up your looks with all the lies in the books to make a citizen out of you. Because they sleep with a gun and keep an eye on you, son, so they can watch all the things you do. Because the drugs never work, they're gonna give you a smirk, cause they got methods of keeping you clean. They're gonna rip up your heads, your aspirations to shreds. Another cog in the murder machine. They said I'll teenagers scare the living shit out of me. They could care less as long as someone will bleed. So darken your clothes, I'll strike a violent pose. Maybe it'll leave you alone, but not me. The boys and girls in the clique, the awful names at the stick. You're never gonna fit in much, kid. But if you're troubled and hurt, what you got under your shirt will make them pay for the things that they did. They said, I'll teenagers scare the living shit out of me. They can care less as long as someone will bleed. So darken your clothes, I'll strike a violent pose. Maybe it'll leave you alone, but not me. Oh, yeah. Teenagers scare the living shit out of me. They can care less as long as someone will bleed. So darken your clothes, I'll strike a violent pose. Maybe we'll leave you alone, but not me. All together now. Teenagers scare the living shit out of me. They can care less as long as someone will bleed. So darken your clothes, I'll strike a violent pose. Maybe it'll leave you alone, but not me. Teenagers scare the living shit out of me. They can care less as long as someone will bleed. So darken your clothes, I'll strike a violent pose. Maybe it'll leave you alone, but not me.
Speaking of Sir Stewart, by 1977, Stewart's solo albums were 8 deep, and that 8th slab, Footloose and Fancy Free, boasted 4 singles, which included Hot Legs, the song from which My Chemical Romance's teenagers seemed to draw melodic inspiration. The album's 3rd single was Dirty in More Ways Than One, from its dingy melody, courtesy of guitarist Billy Peake, to its grimy lyrics and anchored by a funky bass line by the late great Phil Chen. Almost makes you feel like you're invading your stereo's privacy while it's playing, doesn't it? Off 1977's Footloose and Fancy Free, here's Rod Stewart with Hot Legs on Road Food with Coyote Duran. think of the Monkees, and you should because who doesn't love TV's fun foursome, does a musical suicide note come to mind? You probably think I'm on something, but I'm not. If you're a true Monkees fan, you'd never question my momentary sobriety because you've obviously heard 1967's Going Down, the B-side to Daydream Believer. It's big band and jazzy scatting mixed with a bleak story about a man dealing with a breakup, then drowning his sorrows and possibly himself shortly afterward. But things don't exactly go to plan for our unfortunate storyteller, in this case, Mickey Dolenz. Finding he can't actually sink in the river and meet his end, Mickey sings about how if he had another drink that probably would have helped, but after floating a while, he regrets his decision to shuffle off this mortal coil. Ultimately, he gets his wish and washes up in New Orleans, where he can happily groove on. Not bad for a B-side that was also featured on AMC's Breaking Bad in 2012. Now that's staying power, kids. And if you don't believe Mickey can't pull off those vocal acrobatics anymore, just look up recent live performances on YouTube. The dude is a monster and a performer's performer. From October of 1967, here's the Monkees with Going Down on Road Food with Coyote Duran.
Sock it to me. Floating in the river with a saturated liver, and I wish I could forgive her, but I do believe she meant it when she told me to forget it, and I bet you will forget it when you find me in the morning wet and drowned, and the wood gets round. I'm going down, I'm going down. I'm coming up for air, it's pretty stuff under there. I'd like to say I didn't care, but I forgot to leave a note, and it's so hot to stay afloat, soaking wet without a boat, and I knew I should have taken off my shoes. It's front page news, going down, going down. Hey, hey. Help, 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 help. I wish I had another drink, I wouldn't be so hot to sink. I should have taken time to think. Besides, I got the picture straight. You must have had another day that didn't need this extra way to wish that I could see the way to show. I don't want no more going down. I'm going down. And now I see the left, I let it slip it all away. I better should have learned to swim instead of naturally got me stuff. I can't believe it. Why I jump a life again? My tummy pump, I can't believe they drink this stuff in town. This dirty brown. I'm going down. Going down. I'm going down. Going down. Hey, hey. Going down. Going down. Going down. Going down. Going down. Going down. I wish I'd looked before I leave, but didn't know it was so deep and down so far. Don't get wet. I haven't touched the bottom yet. This river scene is getting old. I'm hungry, sleepy, wet and cold. She told me to forget it nice. I should have taken her advice. I only want to go on home. I'd gladly leave that girl at home. What a way to spend the night. If I don't drown, I'll die of fright. My pappy taught me how to float, but I can't swim a single note. He threw me in to teach me how. I stayed there floating like a mama cow, and now I floated way downstream. No, this has to be a dream. If I could find my way to shore, I'd never do this anymore. Like if you three up and down, I'm going down. Just one more time, go down. I'm not going down. Going down. Going down. I'm going down. Going down. Back home. Back home. Back home. Going down. Going down. I'm going down. I'm going back home. Back to my friends. Back to the one. Back to the two. I'm going home. Now the sky is getting light. Everything will be alright. Think I'll finally got the knack of just floating lazy on my back. I never really liked that town. I think I'll ride the river down, just moving slow and floating free. There's a river swinging under me, waving back to the slopes on shore. I should have thought of this before. I float on down to New Orleans and pick up on some swinging scenes. I'm gonna know a better day. I'll go back moving all the way, going down. I'm going down. I'm going down. Back to New Orleans. Back home. I'm going down. Help, 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 help. I'm going down. Help, help,
I've never been a huge Billy Idol fan, and other than his time as lead singer of Generation X, I've always thought his categorization as punk was a little off. I can't think of many other Idol songs of which I've been a fan besides Dancing with Myself, Hot in the City, and Eyes Without a Face, but his cover of Tommy James and the Shondells' 1968 single Moni Moni, well, how could anyone not love it? A surprise hit off Idol's 1982 EP Don't Stop, Moni Moni earned a certain level of infamy when played at clubs, when folks would intersperse a particularly vulgar line after every 2 measures of the song. Now, I'm not tied to FCC regulations, but I'm not going to repeat it here. Although I refuse to censor music, this is still a family show, so you'll have to look it up on these worldwide internets. And not for nothing, I'm actually quite good at singing this song at karaoke, something else I'm not going to do on this program. You're welcome. Off 1982's Don't Stop EP, here's Billy Idol's version of Moni Moni on Road Food with Coyote Duran.
Here she come now, say Moni, Moni. Shoot 'em down, turn around, come on, Moni. Hey, she give me love and I feel alright now. You gotta toss that
As far as duets go, at the time of its release, Bryan Adams and Tina Turner's It's Only Love seemed as unlikely as it gets, but I'll be damned if it wasn't awesome. Originally a single from Adams' fourth album, 1984's Reckless, the song combined Adams' working man-esque, stripped-down rock style and Turner's soulful vocals and commanding attitude for an epic song, made even better by their live performance video, which was filmed during Turner's Private Dancer tour in 1985. It was a time when the Queen of Rock and Roll was riding high. Their chemistry and joy were absolutely off the charts, and we all got some damn good art as a result. Off 1984's Reckless, here's Bryan Adams and Tina Turner with It's Only Love on Road Food with Coyote Duran.
When the feeling is ended, there ain't no use pretending. Don't you worry, it's only love. When your world has been shattered, ain't nothing else matters. It ain't over, but it's only love, and that's all, yeah. If your heart has been broken, hard words have been spoken. It ain't easy, but it's only love. And if your life ain't worth living, and you're ready to give in, just remember that it's only love. Only love. You can live without the aggravation. You gotta wanna win. You gotta wanna win. You keep looking back in desperation, over and over and over again. Yeah, yeah. It's only love, baby. Only love. Hey. Ooh, baby, baby, it's only love, love, love. Love. Your world is shattered, and nothing else matters. It ain't over, it's only love. If your life ain't worth living, and you're ready to give in, just remember that it's only love. Yeah, that's all. It's only love, and that's all.
I'm sure you've heard sayings referring to oil and water not mixing. They always remind me of Duran Duran and their former guitarist Andy Taylor, not to be confused with the Andy Griffith character, of course. As Duran Duran's success continued throughout the early 1980s, you could see and hear sparks of sometimes different and interesting in Andy's playing in their videos and songs. There was a hard-rocking shredder dying to escape. When Duran Duran took a hiatus in 1984, Andy and his bandmate, bassist John Taylor, no relation, formed the Power Station with singer Robert Palmer and drummer Tony Thompson to record a self-titled album. I wasn't a fan of its first single, Some Like It Hot, because it just felt plodding and boring, but their second single, a cover of T-Rex's Bang a Gong, was hot. Everyone in the lineup shined, but Taylor really stood head and shoulders above his bandmates with a searing, blistering solo. That was the moment in which I felt like Andy escaped. In 1986, Taylor left to seek his rock and roll fortunes and put out an outstanding debut solo album, Thunder, in 1987. 3 years later, Taylor upped his game with an album comprised of covers titled Dangerous. Although Taylor's versions of Rod Stewart's Stone Cold Sober and the Kinks' Lola got the push, Taylor's cover of AC/DC's Live Wire off their 1975 album TNT was the breakout tune from this slab. Now, no one will ever excuse Taylor of trying to be the next Bon Scott, but who can? Still, it was a damn fine effort from one hell of a guitarist who can also solidly carry a tune. Now that's a winning combination for a great cover. Off Andy Taylor's 1990 album Dangerous, here's Live Wire on Road Food with Coyote Duran. and thunder begat thunder. No, I'm not reading from a terribly translated version of the Bible. I'm talking about Andy Taylor's connection to London's very own thunder. After the band Terraplane broke up in 1989, singer Danny Bowes and guitarist Luke Morley planned to start a new band called Thunder, supposedly inspired by Taylor's debut album from 1987. Now, I can't substantiate this one way or the other, but what's true is Taylor produced their debut studio album, 1990's Backstreet Symphony, a slab that pushed out 5 great singles, one being another cover of the Spencer Davis Group's Gimme Some Lovin', Love Walked In, and their second single, which was totally breakout as far as MTV was concerned, Dirty Love. Dirty Love espoused everything great about rock music in the late 80s and early 90s, from Morley's tight guitar work to drummer Gary Harry James' timekeeping, to Bo's Robert Palmer-esque blues-soaked vocals. These guys had and still have, as they've barely had any personnel changes over the past 33 years, fun together, and the video and live performances of Dirty Love are evidence of this. And hopefully you'll dig some more Thunder after listening to this cut. Off 1990's Backstreet Symphony, here's Thunder with Dirty Love on Road Food with Coyote Duran.
I see you walking by. You got that fire
If nothing else, if you're not one already, I want to make you a fan of Y&T. I need to make you a fan of Y&T. Why Y&T never became as big as they deserve astounds me. Active since 1972 and originally based in Oakland, California, Y&T became the hardest working band that never got its proper dividends, only ultimately selling 4 million albums in total, despite releasing 12 kick-ass studio slabs. Although Y&T's original personnel was comprised of lead singer and lead guitarist Dave Meniketti, bassist Phil Kennemore, rhythm guitarist Joey Alves, and drummer Leonard Hayes, the capable Jimmy Grasso and Steph Burns on drums and rhythm guitar, respectively, were also members, as well as John Nyman on guitar and Mike Vanderpool on drums. Until his passing in 2011, Kennemore stuck with Dave through it all, providing a solid bottom end on all 12 albums. A big problem with Y&T's lack of mainstream fanfare, according to Meniketti, was their record label A&M really not knowing what to do with them, despite working with the band for 5 albums. Things seemed to change when the band signed with Geffen Records but was overshadowed by Guns N' Roses. After touring for their album 10, the band decided to hang it up, making this mega fan actually cry while listening to their farewell live album Yesterday and Today Live. It wasn't right. Y&T should have been as big as GNR, Bon Jovi, and Def Leppard. But they came back in 1995 with their 10-era lineup, releasing 2 more albums before Nyman and Vanderpool replaced Burns and Grasso for 2010's Face Melter. Another sobering fact is that 75% of the original lineup is no longer with us. As Kennemore passed away from lung cancer at age 57 in 2011, Alves passed away from ulcerative colitis and inflammatory bowel disease in 2017 at age 63, and Hayes died in 2016 at age 61 from chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Currently, Dave is on the winning end of a battle with prostate cancer, as his diagnosis was early, and he intends to keep rocking with the great Y&T. Prayers are with you, good sir, because we fans love you and need you to keep melting our faces off with your tried and true brand of American hard rock. And with that, here's my shot at making you a Y&T fan. Please turn this one up as loud as you can for the awesome Dave Meniketti and Y&T, off Y&T's 6th studio album, 1984's In Rock We Trust. Here's the absolutely kick-ass Lipstick and Leather on Road Food with Coyote Duran.
Never
If you were a crafty pup and music fan like my buddies and I were, then you know the value of owning a double cassette stereo or boombox. My high school friend and a pal to this day, Mike Proditis, did, and he dubbed me a copy of Scorpions' 1988 album Savage Amusement. 4 years removed from Scorpions' previous effort, Love at First Sting, there was truly a relaxed and relatively modern feel continued in songs like Passion Rules the Game, Believe in Love, and Rhythm of Love. However, the non-single, Media Overkill, became my favorite cut. Kicking off with a fantastic rat-a-tat-tat drum line by Herman Rarabelle and cool voice box action from co-guitarist Matthias Jabs, Media Overkill details how we're inundated with just that, media overkill. Over-informed, over-entertained, over-influenced. Sounds familiar, eh? These days, it isn't so much TV that's taking hold of our souls, it's social media overkill. Are we being watched through our mobile devices and computer by way of our own online activity and searches? Maybe. Do we care to fight against it? Hell no. People complain endlessly with various levels of paranoia, but do we shut down and tune out? Again, hell no. Face it, we are our own captors. What makes media overkill timeless is us, and we'll never stop the enabling. But enough of the doom and gloom. Thank you, Mike, for the great tunes, man. Off their 10th album, 1988's Savage Amusement, here are Scorpions with Media Overkill on Road Food with Coyote Duran. Well, howlers, from the look of the clock on the wall and the sundial out on the prairie, it's time to button it up, close up shop, and send all y'all home happy. Again, I'm very grateful that you join me every Friday night for such a fine mental meal. And if you haven't already yet, if you would do me the honor of gently clicking the thumbs up for this episode and even subscribing to my YouTube channel, I'll do my best to keep bringing you the most excellent music from my life into yours. And now for our final song of the evening. Hard rockers Steelheart are best known for their 1990 hit, I'll Never Let You Go, from their self-titled album. Unfortunately for bands, musicians, and songwriters of their ilk, grunge was on its way in, but at least we got this dynamite album to enjoy until then. I'll Never Let You Go was of course a ballad, but was mind-blowing due to lead singer Milienko, previously known as Mike, Matiewicz's uncanny vocal range. And this talent wasn't studio enhanced. Steelheart were guests on the 1990 ABC program Into the Night with Rick Dees, and performed the song flawlessly, complete with Matiewicz's sonically pure vocals. On the same program, the boys performed Everybody Loves Eileen, an excellent up-tempo rocker, but this is what's really cool. Steelheart actually filmed their videos for Eileen and She's Gone at Chicago's Vic Theater in April of 1991. If I recall correctly, the show was sponsored by WVVX 103.1, a hard rock station in Chicago, and each ticket was $1. One measly dollar to get a full show, complete with several live and lip-synced versions of Eileen and She's Gone for the video shoots. Even neater was every single ticket dollar went to the American Heart Association, also based in Chicago. How do I know all this obscure trivia about a Steelheart video shoot? I was there. I went with a coworker and some dude I don't like anymore. In fact, if you watch these videos, you'll see a pink ball cap waving around a few rows from the stage. That unfortunate Bud Light headgear belonged to my unruly hard-rocking self, but it stuck out, and that was the point. Good times, howlers. Off their self-titled 1990 album, here's Steelheart with Everybody Loves Eileen. As always, don't forget to join me next Friday night here on YouTube at 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern, and 7 p.m. Pacific for another freshly served repast of the past and present on Road Food with Coyote Duran.